difference. But these Alden shoes haven't changed style in my lifetime. So it's obvious the way to start a worthwhile wardrobe is with quality items and long-life styling. So many of you come to the conclusion to buy clothes that go out of style after one season is a great waste of money. And we've got a story that you'll like. So please come and see us. You'll always look your best and feel your best in a Southwick suit from Reichart's. No sale is ever final in this store. This too amazes people. But I can and will see that you're satisfied when you shop here. Because I'm here. I'm Bill Reichart, and I own the store.
It was a scene out of the history books last weekend in Forsyth County, Georgia. Several hundred Klansmen and Klan supporters attacked a few dozen blacks and whites who were trying to stage what they called a Brotherhood March. The march ended abruptly under a hail of rocks and flying bottles. But while the Klan may have won the brief skirmish, thousands are now mobilizing in an effort to ensure that the civil rights movement will win the battle.
A trip to Forsyth County is like turning the clock back 25 years. Most were not dressed in their traditional white robes, but there was little doubt that this was a Klan rally.
We made it in Hosea Williams and that bunch of communist scum back to Atlanta, Georgia, which is a nigger capital of the world, the watermelon city of the South. White power! White power!
The Klan arrived first and took the high ground, but not by choice. Dozens of Georgia State Police in full riot gear attempted a show of force. But when J.B. Stoner, the man convicted of bombing a black church in Birmingham, Alabama in 1958, arrived, he served as the fuse to an already explosive situation.
Whenever the niggers come in, they bring the dope, and they bring AIDS in. We don't need niggers, we don't need dope, and we don't need AIDS. Only way Forsyth County can have law and order and peace and tranquility is to keep the niggers out.
There are no blacks in Forsyth County. The civil rights group that marched here had to be bussed in from nearby Atlanta. Police had hoped to keep the two groups separated, but as the black marchers got off the bus, any thought that this was going to be a peaceful march soon disappeared. As the rock and bottle throwing continued, it was obvious the police could not control the situation. Because the demonstration was held on a remote county highway, the only thing separating the two groups was the green and white bus that served as a shield and 20 feet of blacktop.
Got out of hand. We couldn't guarantee security for anyone anymore, and the wide open spaces made it very difficult to contain anything.
When police did lose control, the march was stopped. The sheriff asked everyone to get back on the bus.
I've never seen more brutality and violence than I saw this morning. Yeah, when people start busting you in the head with bricks and busting your head with balls, the police standing right up there.
It's an awful lot of hate here today. This needed to happen. This has been needing to happen for a long time.
I think it was a complete flop for the blacks, and I'm sure they felt the same way. I mean, you can see the crowd up here. Them blacks would rather try to put a pair of pantyhose on a bobcat and a telephone booth than to come up here around these people.
I just didn't know it was that bad. Because I've lived here and I go to school with some of these people. I didn't know it was that bad.
It stayed bad for some time after the march ended. For the Klan, it was not the end of the day, though. They gathered on the lawn of the county courthouse when they thought the march was going to be moved downtown. There would be no second confrontation on this day. The large Klan rally was not interrupted. The police simply directed traffic around the courthouse. One by one, the Klan leaders stirred up the crowd. were preaching to the already converted, and the rally soon ran out of steam.
3 hours after it all began, it ended here in Forsyth County, but it's only a temporary truce.
We will determine whatever action would be necessary because we feel very strongly and very deeply about the right of people to conduct a nonviolent protest as we've done throughout the 60s.
Georgia Congressman John Lewis worked with King throughout his life. He confirmed plans are being made for another march and said Saturday's events reminded him of those days in the 60s.
This is my first time seeing anything like this since the days of Selma and the days of Birmingham. I think people must realize that this is one country, one nation, we're one people.
In Dallas, Vice President George Bush angrily addressed the confrontation.
And that's an outrage against all ethical behavior in the United States of America. We must not let these winds of irrational action betray our commitment to the principles of peace and freedom and racial equality for all Americans.
Forsyth County Sheriff admitted police couldn't handle the situation, and the head of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference is calling for legal action.
We urge forceful and expedient prosecution and conviction of the members of this mob who have violated the law and conscience of decent people everywhere.
Is gonna be a black dead ass if you don't get his ass out of the news and out of Forsyth County. No kidding. Bye, nigger.
Business. These days, it's no cakewalk. You want to get ahead? Use the tools of the trade.
Watch your step. Have a nice day.
Use the card rated best by frequent business flyers for travel and entertainment, the American Express card. And use United Airlines to give you more flights to more top business centers.
Tough climb, huh?
Yeah. Look, you know where you want to end up.
Wow. Nice view.
Why not make it a little easier on yourself getting there?
I'm Teddy Ruxpin.
Well, guys, what do you think?
I think he's great.
AT&T is in business video, the fast, easy way to get together.
Claire, as you take a look at this next chart,
when you can't be together, from your offices or selected hotels to locations worldwide.
Mais certainement. Just...
All right, everybody. Are we all set in Chicago? Okay, let's start our meeting. Now, about...
Just call AT&T and ask for business video. AT&T, the right choice.
Here's the purchase agreement for your Tandy computers. The training sounds great. Can we get it done in time?
Absolutely. The schedule we've designed for your people includes courses for each department with hands-on training and specialized software instruction.
And we'll be with you every step of the way. That's the kind of support and training we need.
Tandy Computers at Radio Shack Computer Centers. In business, for business.
Bye-bye. Being a big brother taught me responsibility real fast. I take my little sister to ballet, music lessons. I watched her grow up. And boy, the questions she had. I didn't have all the answers, but I was there. Maybe that's why I enjoy being a Delta Redcoat. I get a great feeling out of helping people. Only now, I take my daughter to ballet.
Delta gets you there. We get you there with care.
On Sunday night, Evelyn Lowery says the death threats to her husband began coming in.
KKK has, saved you a spot with us next week, So we just want to call so you can get your black ass here for some measurements, you dead nigger.
Ms. Lowery says that even for a veteran civil rights activist, the calls have been disturbing.
Yes, through the years, particularly when there's high movement activity, we have gotten threatening calls before.
This intense?
I hear something a little more intense in the voice of this person calling this time, and the mood is extremely frightening. The kind of thing that you just wouldn't think would happen at this time in our history.
Reverend Lowery returned to Atlanta from a King Week celebration in San Antonio. He, too, says the calls have caused particular reason for concern.
Yes, my wife told me that we'd had these calls, and she was somewhat concerned about it because of the very vicious, sort of eerie nature of the violence in Forsyth.
Lowery says those type of calls come with the nature of his calling. Reverend Lowery emphasized again that he and the other marchers aren't trying to challenge the people of Forsyth County, but said that to give in to intimidation would only make things worse.
We can't afford to let that kind of intimidation stop the movement. If so, we might as well surrender our democracy to chaos.
Local teacher and martial arts instructor Chuck Blackburn, who has received threats and criticisms even though he himself didn't actually march in his idea, the Walk for Brotherhood, confirmed to us he's planning to move out of town.
Because, you know, how effective would I be here as a teacher in any capacity now, except for, you know, a few of the very, very dedicated students. I doubt that I would get any new input from new people for quite some time.
In leaving, do you think that you have still done good?
The question was never whether I was doing good or whether I would win. This whole thing's not like a football game and somebody wins and somebody loses. What I was trying to do was express myself and to stand up for what I felt was right.
Ironically, Blackburn's idea to raise the county's consciousness was on the minds of both county commissioners and city council, which unanimously and quickly voted to establish a blue ribbon relations committee to address integration and peace, but all saying that they won't tolerate racial violence.
With the outside elements that were involved, and as I said earlier today, along with some of the white trash that we have here, and every county has it, we're going to uphold the law to the full extent.
Our reaction to this situation is going to govern whether or not our economy is hurt, and we possibly won't suffer much loss. I would hope that.
The county says it will impanel a grand jury to look at videotapes and threaten to indict any offenders with the new evidence. Also, as expected, Hosea Williams and a who's who consortium of leaders announced
we will march to the courthouse of Forsyth County, Georgia, and establish that we too have inalienable rights, and we are going to exercise those rights in our nation, America.
He has loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible swift sword.
A day that began with a somber wreath-laying ceremony at Martin Luther King's crypt gave way to a revival of the civil rights movement as it was in the 60s. The movement's leaders renewed the battle in response to last weekend's racial violence in Forsyth County, Georgia.
We gather today to reassert our right given by God.
We have a profound sense of concern and pain for the whites in Forsyth County. Watch us Saturday. We'll be there, and we won't need Lieutenant Colonel North to transfer no funds for it.
In between the wreath and the rhetoric, tributes poured in for Martin Luther King at Ebenezer Baptist Church, the same church King and his father once preached.
The threat to freedom never ceases. Howard Beach, Forsyth County, just the names of places, but already they are coming to stand for everything Dr. King fought against.
We are here to honor a man, a movement that calls for a public policy that does not export war and spread poverty.
The secret of his great and successful life cannot be analyzed or adequately articulated without remembering the silent strength that was his.
Philippine President Corazon Aquino was awarded the King Peace Prize. It was accepted in Atlanta by her late husband's sister, Lupita Kashiwahara. But Aquino sent a taped message.
Inspired by the courage and the victory of Dr. King, Ninoy found the courage to stare death in the face and to shed his blood as an investment in liberty.
Meanwhile, the holiday was celebrated around the country in different ways. Traders on the New York Stock Exchange stopped their business for a moment of silence. In San Jose, California, about 3,500 people rode a freedom train from that city to San Francisco. And of course, there were parades.
Despite reports, the Ku Klux Klan membership has been on the decline in recent years. The march in Georgia rekindled some of the old fires.
Racism is all over the United States. It's just these spots that are being picked up right now. I think that it is the white race, along with the black race, crying out that, look, we're tired. We're fed up with having to mix with each other.
Some of the old faces of racism are also now attempting to return. J.B. Stoner, just released from prison for his conviction of involvement in bombing a black church in 1958, appeared to pick up right where he left off.
The only way you can keep peace, love, and tranquility here in Forsyth County is to keep the black savages out.
Former Georgia Governor Lester Maddox didn't bring his famous axe handle, but was armed with some of the old rhetoric.
If I were the people up here, and that fella who started this, that white nigger, I would starve him out of Forsyth County.
You cannot have law and order and niggers too! One's gotta go! I say that niggers have got to go!
The voices of racism in the 1980s may be younger, but the message is still pretty much the same.
We love them when they're in Africa. We love the Chinamen when they're in China. We love the Mexicans when they're in Mexico. We love the Jews when they're in Israel. But America and Northern Europe is for the white race, and it will be white again.
White power! White power!
We marched too far, prayed too hard, wept too bitterly, bled too profusely, and died too young.
Dr. Joseph Lowery is the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Established by Martin Luther King Jr., it still serves as the counter-organizations to groups like the KKK.
I think everything has changed and nothing has changed. In the 60s, the leadership of this country, the national leadership, the president joined in the chorus of "We Shall Overcome." It was a firm national commitment at the very top to racial justice. In the 80s, this administration is saying we shall overturn.
Dr. Lowery says he feels the difference between the 60s and the 80s is that instead of fighting for a seat at a lunch counter, blacks in America are now fighting for a job.
I don't think the movement's gone to sleep. It's shifted gears toward economic justice. Whenever times get better, race relations seem to improve. When times get worse, race relations worsen as well.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson, another of Martin Luther King Jr.'s lieutenants during the civil rights struggle, agrees. The 1980s enemy, he says, is economic racism.
The combination of economic anxiety and race-conscious behavior from the White House has left us in a real state of social tension. It's not so much the symbolism of white sheets and hoods by night, though there is some of that, nearly as much as it is the lack of enforcement of civil rights laws. So there's a decrease of blacks in colleges in the last 4 years, an increase in jails.
Minority employment specifically, and civil rights in general, have been among the Reagan administration's most bitter controversies. The latest attack comes from a member of the administration who just became a former member. In a Portland, Oregon speech, Joseph Cooper, who headed the Labor Department's Office of Federal Contract Compliance, said that he resigned because he felt that many high-level officials were trying to sabotage anti-discrimination regulations.
They were really doing lip service to the law to make sure that it was written but not enforced. I found these hurdles nearly insurmountable.
Although Cooper worked for the Labor Department, he aimed much of his criticism at justice, charging that Attorney General Edwin Meese and William Bradford Reynolds, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, were hostile to affirmative action. Not so, said a department spokesman.
I think that the burden of Mr. Cooper's complaint is not really over affirmative action, but it's rather with the use of racial preferences in hiring and in promotions. I think to the extent he wants to use those, or that he has encouraged those, that is the real issue. And we disagree on that.
Cooper's disagreement echoes the complaints of many civil rights leaders.
We've been saying for quite some time that this administration, especially at the Department of Justice, has comprised the worst civil rights record in more than a half a century.
Discrimination is still with us. It is only harder to identify.
Cooper's resignation sharpens debate between those who support the administration's approaches to discrimination and those who believe the current policies encourage racial hostility in this country.
The songs of the civil rights movement filled Ebenezer Baptist Church in downtown Atlanta. This is the church where Martin Luther King Jr. preached from in the 50s. In the 80s, it's being used once again in the battle for civil rights.
We've got to go to Forsyth County to let the world know that we're not going to be intimidated
that we're not going to be afraid, and we've come too far to turn around now, and we ain't going to let nobody turn us around.
This was supposed to be a training session for Saturday's march in Forsyth County, Georgia, a chance for those who marched in the 50s to teach nonviolence to a new generation. But it became a time to remember.
Blood in Birmingham wrote the Civil Rights Bill.
Atlanta City Councilman Hosea Williams was a King Lieutenant. He marched in Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham. Now he's leading the march in Forsyth County. Joining him at the pulpit were faces from the past, gray-haired men that followed Dr. King to southern jail cells or hospital emergency rooms. While Hosea Williams talked about the past, it was a white man from Georgia who told the would-be marchers about nonviolence.
Nonviolence is an absolute essential point to communicate to these people. The reason being, you're not going to change the ones that's going to throw rocks and bottles. But you have to understand that it's because of their fear that they do this. You have to feel sorry for them.
More than 100 buses are being chartered by the group at a cost of more than $40,000. Money to pay for those buses is coming from donations.
Who else will give $100?
The $100 donations quickly totaled over $2,000. Then it was $50, and then $25. Before the meeting ended, a long line formed to chip in. Unlike the 50s, the movement of the 80s is expensive to stage. While many of the faces and songs are from another era, many here say this is a new movement, a mobilization of those who may have been too young to remember places like Selma and Birmingham.
Becky, stay with Grandpa, okay? What's up, Mom?
Joe, look at this bill.
Wow, I thought Medicare took care of it all.
Most of it, honey, but not all. I'm just not prepared for this.
For those of us who are 65 or older, the sad fact is that Medicare does not cover all our medical bills. And that's why you should call today to get the facts about Secure Care, to help pay what Medicare doesn't. Look, if you end up in the hospital before Medicare pays 1 red cent, you pay $520. Stay in the hospital for 150 days, you pay $20,020. But with Secure Care 65, you don't pay 1 penny of those costs. Secure Care 65 pays them all and keeps on paying for 1 full year after Medicare stops. Helps pay your doctor bills, too. And now, for 1987, Secure Care has added brand new benefits, which make Secure Care even better. Secure Care now helps pay for a nurse at home after you're discharged from the hospital. You'll also get free membership in the Eye Care Plan of America, which gives you and every member of your household big discounts year-round on eyeglasses. I don't know any other plan that does all that. So if you or someone you love is 65 or older and on Medicare, call for this free information about Secure Care.
If you're 65 or older, call 1-800-453-5000 to get your free information kit on Secure Care. You'll also get details on our brand new benefits, including your medical history put on this wallet-sized microfilm card that could save your life. Call 1-800-453-5000. Secure Care. It helps pay the bills that Medicare doesn't. That's 1-800-453-5000. 1-800-453-5000. Call now.
When a busload of civil rights marchers unloaded near Cumming, Georgia last Saturday, hundreds of Ku Klux Klansmen and supporters were there to greet them with racial slurs and rocks. Forsyth County law enforcement officials admit they were outnumbered. But with a much larger turnout expected from the civil rights marchers this week, Governor Joe Frank Harris is preparing for the worst. The National Guard is on standby, and the Georgia State Patrol will be out in full force.
I may be accused of overreacting, or I may be accused of having too big a show of force, but I'm not going to be accused of not doing everything that I can to see that everybody's certainly safe in that community on Saturday.
Harris says he'll stay in Atlanta rather than accept an invitation to join the march because he can't oversee law enforcement and be a participant at the same time. Meanwhile, Harris is getting some unwanted help, the Guardian Angels, a self-appointed protection group. Led by founder Curtis Sliwa, 12 Angels set out on a 30-mile walk from Atlanta to Cumming. Sliwa says the idea is to camp out for 48 hours and show blacks can survive in the all-white town.
Now, it doesn't mean we're going to come to blows, but clearly we're not Gandhi. If they were to attack us, we would have to defend ourselves, and I think the Huckleberries up there should be aware of that.
Klan leader Ed Stevens says he's told his group to lay low.
If any of our people wish to go up there, that they go up there as civilians with no robes on, be peaceful, don't say anything objective, and see how it goes from there.
So now the scene is set. The governor, the Klan, and the marches all have their plans made. The big story will be what happens when all three forces meet on Saturday.
March to Forsyth, the big story this week. This is Don Miller, CNN.
This is CNN, the world's most important network.
Have you heard the good news? Experts are forecasting a strong new wave of sustained prosperity of unprecedented length and stability. Inflation will be controlled and unemployment will drop. The important question is, when will this happen and how can you prepare for it? While others wait and worry, you can profit by acting now to receive the privately circulated Kipling Washington letter. For over 60 years, smart investors have relied on the Kipling letter as the source for advanced facts and forecasts from the highest levels of Washington before they become news. The Kipling Washington letter helps you get the jump on competition with inside updates on interest rates, housing, the stock market, plus early notice of coming legislation, tax law changes, and more. There are many fine business publications today, but you don't have time to read them all. Every Monday, the Kipling letter brings you a complete, concise summary of latest predictions by top leaders in government and finance. Leaders who speak frankly to Kiplinger editors because their names are never used. Their unhedged judgments on interest rates, inflation, and investment strategies help you act and profit ahead of the crowd. Start benefiting now. Try the Kipling Washington letter for 6 months, 26 issues for only $21, and get free this special report on top money-making opportunities for the rest of the 80s. It's yours free when you try the Washington letter for 6 months, 26 issues. Phone today and you'll also get this exclusive report on the next 10 years. Learn which businesses will do best, where money market funds, stocks, and bonds are headed, and why. To receive 26 weekly issues of the